all right, this UFC champion couldn't pass my closed guard. I'm smaller.
What up, everyone? Shakiel Mahjouri here, and you know who this is. She is one of the bright young stars of One Championship Grappling. Mariia Molchanova at One on Prime Video 4 on Friday, November 18th. Much like me, a fan of coffee, a fan of waffle fries, and a fan of jiu-jitsu. Danielle Kelly, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for doing this. I know that this is something you're getting more and more used to over time as the spotlight comes back on you ahead of this fight on Friday. I would like to, I was reading into your weight and nutrition program because obviously, nutrition is at the front of any great athlete. How does it make you feel to hear that I have never in my life had a Chik-fil-A sandwich?
Doesn't make me feel anything. I think you haven't really explored much, so no, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
It's true.
It's kind of too fat, so definitely don't blame you, but I think you're missing out a little bit.
I will tell you, we don't have any up here in Canada. I've made an effort every time I've been down to the States, but for one reason or another, it keeps avoiding me. I love the Popeye fried chicken sandwich. Do you weigh in there? Or do you have a preference?
I actually tried to eat a Popeye's chicken sandwich, a spicy one, excuse me, almost a year ago, and I just want to give it a chance because I don't like being like, oh, I don't like it. Nope, it won't be good. So I gave it a chance, but the chicken ended up being too dry, so I'm not a Popeye's fan.
All right. Well, we'll have to get this Chick-fil-A one done eventually. You're going into this fight with Mariia on Friday, November 18th. One of the things I really love about One Championship, the product, is that it gives you a little bit of everything. It sort of redefines what a combat sports event can look like. And I think now more than ever, we're sort of seeing jiu-jitsu as we move into these quick scrambles and leg locks, becoming a more sort of dynamic action sport. Coming off that draw, despite a wonderful 50 grand bonus performance, how much pressure or incentive is there on you to get a finish in this one and really sort of continue to elevate grappling in the greater combat sports space?
Yeah, it's actually an interesting question. I have been working relentlessly these past few months since I haven't competed since March. And I think one of the reasons is that, I didn't get a submission. And I think going into this match too, I want it to be exciting. I won't be satisfied or happy unless I get a submission or the match is exciting. Even if I won the match, I just want it to be exciting than the last one. They definitely changed the rules from last time too. So it used to be either submission or draw. But because of my last match, she wasn't really engaging much. It's really hard to try to make someone open up when you're trying to submit them when they're just kind of staying in tight the whole time or defending really well. I'm not putting my past opponent down. She did really good defending, but it's really hard in general to try to submit someone who's just not engaging with the match at all. So I think ever since it's just submission or who's ever had the more attempts or points. I wouldn't say pressure, but I think I'm more motivated than ever to when I go in there, I want to submit who's ever in front of me. I just feel like I'm not really taken seriously. So that comes with it. I have a lot to prove in this match. So hopefully once she's in front of me, I just take her out right away.
If I may ask, where does that feeling come from that you don't feel like you're being taken seriously enough?
I just think in general, especially just women, in general, I think especially being a female athlete, and women's jiu-jitsu is growing rapidly fast. Cause when, I missed out old, but back in my time when I started, it was around 2006. It was around 2006.
We're both 95 kids here, so that's why I'm laughing.
When I started in 2006, there wasn't I was the only one out of 2 girls or 3 girls in my class, while the rest were boys, or the adults class, there was no women. It was just all men. So going from 2006, 2007 to now, there's just, especially with women's wrestling, the amount of women now, it's just so much. So with that being said, I feel I'm kind of I'm kind of like a phase for women's jiu-jitsu right now. Hopefully like just for the small women, because I'm fairly small and I've always had to go against big girls. I think like I haven't competed since March, so I feel like that has to do with me. Like maybe it wasn't my match that wasn't exciting. I'm not taken seriously. Maybe like the fans think, just like if someone has too much hype, they're probably not taking me seriously. It's a lot of motivation. So, just I've been kind of like not focused on social media or anything the past few months. Like I just been focusing on like my mistakes, getting beat up a lot to be comfortable when I go out there. And hopefully after this match, I make a statement.
I love it. Well, and I'm glad to hear that, that sort of pressure, whether it exists or is sort of self-perceived, I feel like it can break people sometimes. So I'm happy to hear that you're using that as motivation and fuel. You discussed making a transition to MMA eventually after winning a grappling title with one. Kind of going into that, looking from the outside in for the time being at least, what do you think separates jiu-jitsu players who make a big splash in MMA versus those who fizzle
out? When a jiu-jitsu person joins MMA?
Yeah, like what's the quality that makes them good for MMA versus not so good for MMA?
So I think majority what makes jiu-jitsu people good, most of the times when people are in general, like growing up, I think like the average MMA fighter was focusing on a lot of striking than ground game. So when it's like amateur fights, you can't really strike on the ground. So let's just say you go against a wrestler or someone that just has a striking background. They go to take down or knock down the jiu-jitsu person, but the fight's still going. So you're in their world and the jiu-jitsu person has ways over your grappling game. So they're more likely to finish you with a submission. But that being said, I think like as you get higher in the professional league, like Mackenzie Dern, for example, like she's in the top 5, but her against like legit striking girls who have an awareness of the ground game, Mackenzie kind of falls short. So I think it's just a balance because Mackenzie also is taking out really good striking girls. So I'm not taking away from the jiu-jitsu background. But I think jiu-jitsu people have like a little bit ahead of just like a regular person joining MMA, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, and I think one of the things that often kind of gets overlooked is when you see these jiu-jitsu stars make the transition to MMA, there's so much emphasis put on their striking. They got to shore up the striking. I think one of the things that kind of goes under the radar is how good their offensive wrestling gets, right? Because you see a lot of grapplers transition to MMA, a lot of jiu-jitsu players, and they just can't get the fight into their realm. So that's always sort of been one that comes to mind for me. This will come out, we're shooting this for those who, for context sake, on Friday the 11th. It'll come out early next week ahead of the One Championship card. In that time, we may or may not have a new UFC women's strawweight champion, but for the time being, that champion is Carla Esparza, and you hold a grappling victory via injury over Carla. Now, I know Carla doesn't always get the most love as a UFC champion, but what, if anything, did it sort of do for the attention on you defeating the woman who is currently the women's strawweight champion of the UFC?
I'm sorry, what tension?
Like, did you notice any additional attention, any additional sort of like boost in your reputation? Like, what was sort of the aftermath of having that victory over her?
I think a lot more good than bad. I think people that didn't know how grappling matches work, the slamming was illegal from the guard, and I think like a lot of these casual MMA fans kind of were on her side, but also like no one wants to give me credit, but like she had like 30 pounds over me. The promotion kind of like said I couldn't do 100% of my jiu-jitsu, couldn't do leg locks, but yet when she slammed me, she cut herself open. I think from then, like, I think just casual MMA fans didn't understand the rules. So they were kind of like on her side, but overall, I think it definitely boosted me a little bit. I just wish the match kind of played out a different way.
Definitively. Yeah.
Yes. But also she was getting frustrated. She couldn't pass the guard. So that speaks for itself. So however you want to look at it, have a look.
You've got a good mind. You've got a good mind for
I
this
have a
whole
little
game,
chip on my
Danielle. I like
shoulder,
it.
but it's like, all right, this UFC champion couldn't pass my close guard.
Mhm.
I'm smaller, but I respect her. Like, she didn't have to do it. Like, she's she just beat Rose. She's respected. But grappling rule set, you couldn't pass the close guard, so you went to go and slam and you cut yourself open.
I like this. Okay, as we begin to wrap up here, Danielle, I've seen you talk in other interviews about sort of getting more comfortable with all the attention on you, whether that's the cameras, the lights, the interviews. Thank you so much for doing this
Yeah.
today. What have you learned the most about capitalizing on this moment? Not competitively, but in terms of marketing and everything that kind of goes around the fight game.
I think when people see like your personality, I think that's more important. I'm just like with my past life and everything, like people who don't know me, I kind of stay low key a little bit. So maybe it's kind of my fault, but also like just with past events as a child and everything, like it's made me who I am. So just learning, I had a speech impediment too in school. So a lot of times, like when I would do interviews, I would stutter in the past. I would talk and then suddenly I would just not finish the sentence or just forget. So that kind of had like insecurities of myself, just talking to people in general. But like since I started like streaming like 2 years ago, I haven't been able to do that in a while just because I've been focusing on these matches. I'm taking one like I'm, just want to take everything seriously. I got to interact with like different kinds of people and I realized like there's so many nice people. Like I don't need to be so closed off all the time. I need to like show like who I am sometimes. So, like I'm always serious. I'm always like at the gym kind of to myself. And, I'm grateful to be like talking to different people like you, like, just doing interviews. So when I get a chance to kind of like express myself, I feel much better. Like sometimes I'll get nervous before. And then like once it's done, I'm like, I'm really glad I did that. So I think like gaming and streaming has helped me a lot just because it's kind of like similar like this, but you're playing the game. I'm on PC, so I'm on the keyboard. I think that's what helped me the most. So, and plus like when you're gaming with people, it could be like all over the world or like in the States. So yeah, I just met like a lot of cool people and I'm still good friends with from gaming. So I think that helped me a lot with like interviews.
What were we streaming at the time mostly?
This was when Call of Duty, the Modern Warfare one came out. So
I've been playing way too much of MW2, dude, and it's
yeah,
love-hate relationship.
So like I bought the game, the second one, but I haven't like downloaded it just because, I've been busy with training,
It's
again, like
probably for the best.
I've been training, teaching, doing privates. It's like, sometimes like when I come home at night, all I want to do is just watch TV or just go to sleep, So I haven't been able to like play with my friends, but hopefully like, after my match, I'll just have more free time.
Okay, well, when that time comes, let's exchange the Activision
All right,
usernames.
yeah,
We'll get a little MW2 in.
Yeah.
Now I hate to bring down the mood before we move on to some light stuff, but you did mention your childhood. For those who maybe aren't familiar with their story, is there anything you feel like sharing? And you don't have to.
I guess majority of people that know me, both my parents have passed, so I've been kind of like by myself. And I think just like how I am as a person, it's hard to like trust people when you lose like two of the most important people in your life. So like, my dad got me involved in jiu-jitsu so young, and as a kid, like you trust people so easily. And I guess like long story short, like you kind of just have to find your environment. It kind of goes with saying like when a new person's going to like new jiu-jitsu schools, you figure out your environment. So that was kind of mean for a while. But I'm happy where I'm at. And, I met the right people. It's still life. Like you're gonna have ups and downs, but I think like that's the majority of like why I am the way I am. So yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing. For this in the best interest of sharing. I lost my mom at 18, so
Sorry.
it's something you learn to cope with. And I'm glad, most importantly, and this is a lesson I've had to learn too, is that there are communities that you can find that become families. So I'm glad you found those. And as we continue to share here, I want to finish up on a little rapid fire. Both 95 kids, so this is a rare opportunity for me to go this. I want to go through a little bit of a 1995 to 2005 rapid fire. Pick your brain a little bit on some of what I believe to be the greatest decade in the existence of humanity, okay? All right. Danielle, first and foremost, what is the greatest recess snack? Dunkaroos, animal crackers.
Turkey and cheese with mustard.
That is like my go-to when
and
I'm
then the milk with
right
the
now.
pouch.
Yes, the milk with the pouch. Some Sunny D was gross. I don't know why I drank so much.
My grandma made me drink Sunny D, but I had the bottles.
I actually love it. What a weird but a perfectly accurate answer.
Green ketchup and purple ketchup.
Yeah. All right. I guess it's just food coloring. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much are pumpkin spice lattes part of your identity as a person?
10.
I saw the Instagram video. You and my fiance both. Do you have any fond memories of Blockbuster Video?
I think it was in Blockbuster. I don't know if it's in GameStop, or I think it was at Blockbuster, because I remember my dad was going to like get a DVD. And I remember playing a game while he was looking for DVDs.
They have a new Netflix series all based around the last remaining Blockbuster. And I hear that the last one recently closed down, but you can actually rent it out as an Airbnb, and it's like super Blockbuster themed. There's all the DVDs, so you can watch whatever movie you want. What is the greatest toy of our generation? Barbies, Beanie Babies, Troll Dolls, Furbies, Pokemon, Beyblades, Tamagotchi, so many.
I had Pokemon and Barbies. Yeah.
Okay, well, I had the Pokemon.
Old school Pokemon.
Yeah. In fact, I think my fiance still orders the McDonald's Happy Meals. They're giving out a bunch there, and I definitely stole them from her. What is the greatest kids show of the 90s?
Greatest kids show of the 90s? Blue's Clues.
This is a good one. And last but not least, just because this came up and it made me chuckle, did you own one of these wonderful rugs?
Yes.
Back in the day?
Yes.
Who didn't?
I feel so
I don't know why every person on earth had this rug.
Yeah, and especially if you're going to waiting rooms too, like if you're getting a physical or something, they had like those little blocks that you play.
Oh, if I drop by somewhere and they have one of those, I still sit down and roll a little car over it just for old time's sake. Danielle, this has been so much fun. I want to thank you so much for your candor, for keeping it light when we wanted to. This was a lot of fun. I'm going to hold you to the Modern Warfare 2 games because I spent $100 on that game.
Me too.
Because my friend is like, I'll play with you. And then none of them ever play with me. So I need a squad.
I'll play with you.
I love it. Okay, I'll leave you with the last word, Danielle. So I'll do my part very quickly. Guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. If you're still here, you know what you got to do. Subscribe, tap the notification bell, thumbs up, let us know. How do you want to see Danielle Kelly get that finish against Mariia Molchanova at 1 on Prime Video 4 on November 18th? Danielle, if there's anything you want to let the people know, the floor is yours.
Follow me on Instagram at Danielle Kelly BJJ, my YouTube, and if you guys want to follow me on Twitch, it's either Danielle Kelly BJJ or it's Chik-fil-A. So make sure you subscribe.